And the third rule is one I really like: get to dinner on time. Now, what's that? That's commitment. That's commitment. If you're part of this family and the family sits down for dinner at a set time, be there. You're part of the family. And that doesn't have anything to do with dinner, as a matter of fact. It has to do with commitment to the cause. Whatever organization or society, whatever it is, be committed. Do it right. I want to talk a little bit about one other idea. I've given you what I think are the basic principles, but there's one that I can't resist picking out as another thing that you have to be conscious of, because I think it too is sometimes little understood, and that's symbolism. One of the things, if you're going to be a leader, that you have to be constantly cognizant of is symbolism. Symbolism is the practice of representing things by symbols, or investing things with a symbolic meaning or character. According to Webster, a symbol is something used or regarded as standing for or representing something else. A material object representing something immaterial. An emblem, a token, a sign. And good leaders use symbols all the time. All the time. We had, now deceased in this town, a man by the name of Dick Gillette. If you walk across the river in front of the Ford Museum, if you look on the side, that bridge is named after him. It's the Gillette Bridge, what we all call the old interurban bridge, but it's the Gillette Bridge. Dick Gillette was the president of the old Kent Bank then, and was a real leader in this town. Most of the time behind the scenes. I mean, he didn't make a big deal out of the fact that he was a leader. And one day I sat at a table in the basement of the University Club, where a bunch of business people sit, a big round table. It's still there in the corner where people just sit down and eat. And it was in the 1970s, I think, and the table was full of people, and Dick Gillette was there, and the Civic Auditorium, which is right across the river, the big stone building that's now part of the whole DeVos complex. That was built in the 30s as an auditorium, and they needed to do some work on it. It's since been revamped, but the front of it's still the same, still the marble front. And the community was trying to figure out what to do about it, and they'd had a vote and the taxpayers wouldn't pay to revamp it. And it is the 70s, and economically, we're in one of our Michigan recessions. The automobile industry is in trouble, and these people are just sitting around the table talking about the Civic Auditorium, and now that the voters have voted it down, what are they going to do? How are they going to solve that problem? And Dick Gillette says to the group, we have to get a crane in the air. And everybody kind of looks at him and wonders why, and he says, look, Grand Rapids, the expressways come down here and intersect. Everybody in Grand Rapids drives through that sooner or later, some more than others. All kinds of visitors drive through that. Michigan's in terrible shape economically. We're doing better in Grand Rapids, but we have to demonstrate that. We get a crane in the air and we'll show everybody that we're going in Grand Rapids, we're moving, we're getting things done. And I've never forgotten it. I thought, what? Now there's a guy that understood symbols. We have to get a crane in the air. We have to get it in there because it'll demonstrate what this community is. I contrast that And I told them at the table, I decided you can't help but look at the automobile executives. I mean, what were they thinking about? They're going to ask the government for $50 million and they fly 3 private jets. I don't even blame them. They're so far into working, but the people are, I mean, you know, they probably didn't even think about it. Obviously they didn't, but the PR people, I mean, it was such a foolish thing to do. And in the long run, in terms of what they're playing for, it doesn't, not doing it wouldn't save all that much money in terms of the dollars they're playing for. But it was, they absolutely misused the symbol. They created a symbol. And that's why I'm saying leaders have to think about symbols. They have to pay attention to what they do and how they do it and the symbolic nature of everything they do. Now let me conclude just with a few thoughts about your opportunity. You know, I think you young people, you Leadership Academy people, are in a wonderful position. I really do. This American society and culture has been built over 200 years, and it's consistently grown better and become better educated. Technological advances are unbelievable. I'm just nothing but optimistic about what is ahead of you and what you've got, your future. I envy young people, I really do, and what's ahead of you. Sure, there are problems. There are a lot of problems. But if you want to look at history, look at the last century. There were horrendous problems. When I was 10, the world was in the midst of the greatest war in history. 80+ million people died. 80 million. People don't focus on that. Western civilization literally hung in the balance. That didn't matter. The American culture, society, and lots of other things, but America was up to the challenge, and I think today you're in an even better position than we were then. America and its people, you, are up to the challenges. I'm mindful of Dwight Eisenhower with an incident that I saw on television in the early days of television. It was in a press conference. I know it was in 1956, and I think it was just after he'd won the Pennsylvania primary. The Pennsylvania had a presidential primary then. And he'd already been president for 4 years, and they were putting his name on the primary ballot, and he won big. I mean, everybody wanted him. And he stood at that press conference, and some reporter gets up and says, "Mr. Eisenhower, what do you want out of life? I mean, you've done it all. You've led the greatest army the world has ever seen. You've led a great university, that was Columbia University, and you've been president of the United States for 4 years, and now you have the people telling you they want you to be president again. Is there anything more you want out of life?" And he didn't hesitate a second. He said, "Oh yes, there is. You know, I look at my grandson David, who I think was then 5, and he said, I'd love to be David. I'd love to start all over again." That's the way I feel about the opportunity you have. I think you, your generation, your age group, has tremendous opportunity. I have no doubt that you'll meet the challenges, and I have no doubt that this country, the world, will meet the challenges, and America will lead, and I think it's just go to it. I envy you. I think that you are the people who are going to be the leaders in this century, and that's the best I can say. Go to it. Thank you.